So today's webinar is hosted by Mayfair Education with a range of services to cater to the individual needs of our students. If you're interested in hearing more about our services, you could reach us at our email address, our website, or any of our social media platforms.
I'm Belinda. So I graduated from the IB program in November 2018. So at graduation, I was the dux of my cohort. I was also offered places at Oxford University in the UK, in the US, UPenn, Brown and Duke, and then in Australia, UNSW Medicine, which I'm currently studying.
I graduated the IB in November last year, and I graduated with the All-Round Academic Excellence Prize for both Year 11 and 12. I was first place for 3 of my subjects. For my tertiary offers, University of Sydney Laws and Bachelor of Laws and Commerce, and University of Melbourne guaranteed entry into medicine, and University of Adelaide dental surgery. So how the IB works is basically there are predetermined subject categories and you choose one subject in each of these categories. You also pick an arts, so that can be music, visual arts or theatre, or you can double up on any of the other 5 categories. And the 3 things that everyone has to complete as well is TOC, CAS and EE. The IB is basically marked out of 45, which is then converted into an ATAR for Australia, and the conversion tables can be found online, and they often change like from year to year. There are 7 marks for each subject, and as I mentioned before, there were 6 categories to choose subjects from, so 7 marks for each of those subjects. This is a combination of external and internal marks, and assessments have different weighting, and then you have 3 bonus marks that you can get depending on how well you do with your TOC and extended essay. And there's a chart online basically that shows you get an A for your TOC and then a B for your extended essay. You will get 3 bonus marks. And same thing if you get a B for TOC and then a B for EE, then you get 2 marks, and so on and so forth. The CAS, that I mentioned earlier, Creativity Activity Service, that doesn't give you any extra points, but it's just a requirement that you need to pass in order to get your diploma at the end of the 2 years.
Great. So now I'll just talk a little bit about the IB versus the HSC. With the IB, as Annie mentioned before, you have to complete a wide range of subjects. So you have those 6 categories, whereas the HSC is more specialized and more flexible in terms of the subjects that you can choose. The IB is also a more individualized program. So you kind of just focus on the marks that you get, whereas the HSC, like the rankings become more important. So you compete with your peers. So moving on now to talking a little bit about like the recent changes in the syllabi. So I've just chosen 3. Firstly, for the maths, SL and HL is now divided into AA and AI. So AA stands for analysis and approaches, and AI stands for applications and interpretations. And the difference between AA and AI is that AA is a little bit more theoretical, whereas AI is more practical in the content. So even though I guess the topics themselves are the same, you have greater emphasis on specific topics. With economics, the new system now, international and development, have now been combined into a topic called the global economy. The IBO has kind of changed it to focus around 6 global issues, so 2 for each topic. And so they're trying to do this to kind of encourage students to apply the economic theory to actual issues that are going on globally. So now moving on to theory of knowledge. So the new system now is that you still have the essay that's based on the prescribed titles that is released by the IBO. But now instead of the presentation, you have something called the exhibition. And the exhibition, essentially what it is the IBO gives you, I think, around 35 different titles and questions that you can choose from. And you use those titles then to kind of answer this question through physical objects. And so you display these objects in the exhibition. And so how you're assessed with this is that not only do you have the exhibition, but you also have a commentary that goes along with it. So the commentary, you'll include things like justify why you chose those objects and how that then relates to the content that you've learned through the TOK course. So moving on now to talking about some tips and strategies for the IB. The first thing that we think is pretty important is just to start early. So getting those assignments done early and getting them started early as well. So that's pretty similar with TOC and EE. For CAS, try to get that done in your first year as well. Try and get like the CAS project done in your first year of the program. Things like that are some good strategies so that you can have more time in your second year just to like learn your content, prepare for final exams, do IAs. If you can learn your content earlier on, that would be good, because then you're then revising the content in class. The second one is just to apply your learning. What I mean by this is by not only just like learning the content, but actually using the content and using them for like past paper questions or exam style questions. And practicing with those questions also means that you're able to go into the final exams and you have an idea of what can be asked and what is usually asked as well. The third point is just to build a support system around you and try and do this early on in the IB. I know it sounds cliche, but the IB itself, given that it is 2 years, it's more of a marathon, not really a sprint. So just make sure that you don't go too full on at the start or don't become too overwhelmed by everything at the start. So definitely take breaks when you need it and budget your time accordingly. The final tip that we had as well is just to make use of available resources. And I think this can come in a lot of different forms. So, and speaking to your teachers, getting feedback and listening to their feedback is pretty important. You can also get resources through your peers as well. Supporting each other and collaborating with each other was pretty helpful for me throughout the IB.